My guest today, Vlad Mercori, is the co-founder of StakeBorg. He also runs the StakeBorg DAO talks, where he brings some of the brightest people from the blockchain space, such as Vitalik Buterin, Nick from ENS, Raoul Paul from Real Vision, Tom Billiot from Impact Theory, Avishal Garg from Electric Capital, among others. Vlad, welcome to Blockchain Drill. I'm very happy to have you here.
Hey B, thanks for having me.
I'll start with a question which is a bit philosophical. Vlad, what do you care about in life?
I think I care about progress and connection, but I think this question is so complex. I'm not even sure that I'm able to answer properly without actually thinking a lot about it. But these are the two things that I have in mind when you ask me this. First of all, I think progress, because I think progress leads us to happiness, and connection because I think we cannot be happy if we don't have some healthy connections, relationships, family, friends, business partners that we feel comfortable with, and so on and so forth. So I think, it's a very complex question, but to summarize my answer, these are two things that I deeply care about.
The core values, let's say.
Yeah, I would say so. It's safe to assume that maybe among others that I don't have right now with me, but these two are the first two answers that I can give you.
Maybe now we go a bit and we look at your work you're doing with StakeBorg. So I would say that with the work you're doing with StakeBorg, you help Romania to be on the crypto map. How did your blockchain journey start?
Well, first of all, you are too kind to say that. I think there are many other people who are doing an amazing job with this thing, with putting Romania on the map, starting with the people from Elrond, with other people like George Buchnic and so on and so forth, people who are pushing this industry forward by giving pretty useful information or by building interesting stuff in the industry. To answer your question, well, one of my business partners told me in 2014, I guess, we should look into Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, tell me why we should look into Bitcoin. And he gave me some arguments. And I was so sure that the government will kill it if those arguments come true. And I was like, I don't believe what you say, but even if it's true, it will not succeed because I don't find any reason why governments will allow it to succeed. I think I underestimated the power of technology back then. And for 2 years, so we said, okay, let's forget about this Bitcoin thing. And for 2 years, I lurked around the topic. I started to read a little bit without much conviction. It was more like, okay, maybe I should know a few things about this topic because curiosity is important in life. And in 2017, it was for the first time when I had the feeling that something is happening. When Ethereum appeared and all the buzz around the industry, I started to buy a little bit, but I felt like there is too much attention suddenly. So I wasn't big on buying, so I wasn't early on Ethereum. I wished I was. But in 2018, when the shit hit the fan, I was like, okay, maybe this is a good moment to actually start to be interested in this industry more. And I slowly started to DCA into some of the crypto projects I found interesting back then. It was pretty interesting because I spent a reasonable amount of money for the money that I had back then by buying and buying. And at a certain point, and this is a story I told in one of my podcasts as well, I was buying Cardano and it was like 15 cents, 12 cents, 10 cents, 7 cents, 5 cents. And my conviction was strong because I just felt that Hoskinson is smart. You know, in a young industry, you probably should bet on smart people. Whenever the price was 3 cents, it was for the first time when I asked myself, what if I'm an idiot? So I was like, it was okay when it was 12 cents. It was okay when it was 10 cents, 7 cents, 5 cents. But for Christ's sake, 3 cents. Maybe this shit is going to zero and I'm buying like an idiot. Well, I continued to do it for some reason. Well, you know, the rest is history. From 2018 until today, I was pretty aggressively investing, learning about the industry, and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure if I answer your question, because I have this stupid tendency to actually go in a shitloads of directions without actually answering the question.
You did, and I do agree. I think having some skin in the game is the most important thing to actually start learning. Once you do that, you have a strong incentive to actually be curious and learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. Skin in the game is very important for crypto.
I would go now to one of your recent Facebook posts. So you said the following: a technology that appears today is impossible to understand and adapt by those who are 65, is tolerated by those who are 50, is taken for granted by those who are 30, and is naive for those who are 18. So you consider this as a model when it comes to assessing the opinion of different people when it comes to innovation. How would you explain blockchain technology to people who are reluctant, who say that it's only about some cryptocurrencies?
So I think, just first of all, that is not my idea. I think I stole from one of my guests. I'm not sure he said it like exactly like that, but that was the main idea, that people who are very young are native when it comes to blockchain and crypto, and the more you go up, the reluctancy increases. To answer your question, I think I'm not really sure you can explain something to someone who don't want to understand. As in, you know, it's important for people to want to do it and to be curious and to be at least accepting that at least there is something there. If they believe there is something there, you have a chance to actually convince them in a way or another. The bad part about this industry is that we are so busy building and doing our own stuff and trying to like find good people, iterate products, and so on and so forth. At a certain point in time, you realize that probably is not a good idea to invest your time into convincing someone who actually is not open to be convinced. So now, obviously, the next logical question is, how do you convince someone who is at least not reluctant? So it's probably open to actually some arguments. And the answer to that is, you have to find what strikes him, what's important for him. Is it profit? Is it technology? Is it a guy who understands technology at all? Is it connection? We can explain them the importance of communities in crypto and so on and so forth. Is it someone who hates the fact that projects from like businesses from Web2 are doing all kind of shady and stupid stuff? And you can explain to them that, well, you know, it's the early stages of Web3, but we have a chance to actually do these networks in a better fashion and to make these networks work for the people and not monetize people's ass. So from this perspective, you have to properly understand with whom you are speaking, and based on that, find the right arguments. But for that, you have to really understand the industry.
I think that's really smart. You actually need to understand what incentives everyone has. I would like now to go to to the work you're doing with StakeBorg. So you define StakeBorg as a vehicle to navigate the crypto space in a safe manner. And the starting point from what I've seen was a podcast initially, but over the time, this transformed into what is today's StakeBorg. So maybe you can offer to the listeners more details about what StakeBorg is today, and also how do you see it over the next iterations?
So the whole idea was that we knew that we want to build something in crypto, but we didn't know what. And we said, like, look, if we don't know what we want to build, probably the best idea is to find a crowd and ask them, what do you think is missing in this industry? Obviously, you can argue the fact that, well, you know, many things are missing, and what if you are not the right person to build those things, and so on and so forth. But we said, okay, let's just ask and see what are the answers. We thought about what is the best way to actually gather an audience and use it as a feedback loop. Education was the first thing that we had in mind. So I finished history. My dream was to become a teacher. So education was something that came like pretty natural to me. And we said, okay, if we are doing it and we are successful with this, we will have an audience and we will be able to ask them, what do you want? And after that, we will be able to build what they want. Long story short, we started with the podcast. We followed the newsletter. Now we have the Romanian channel where we have like maybe three pieces of content. We have our colleagues that are doing like a roundup on Monday. We have It's NF Time, which is amazingly successful, if you ask me, only about NFTs. And then I have my own live called Crypto After Dark. And there is the old podcast, not the old, but the first podcast called StakeBorg Talks. After that, we understood what they wanted, and they wanted to know what they should invest in, when they should get out, when they should, what other things are hot and they should buy, and so on and so forth. So after that, we came with what we know today as StakeBorg DAO, and the first product iteration, ILC, an index that comes, the name comes from Invest Like StakeBorg Index, so on and so forth. So to actually summarize everything, we strongly believe in this mission of our company to give as much guidance as possible, and without actually going over our expertise, to help people to enter the crypto space and do the first steps with confidence.
That's great. You mentioned the ELSI fund, the Invest Like StakeBorg, the index, an index that it's based on 10 cryptocurrencies strategically selected. Can you tell us a bit about how you select these cryptocurrencies, how often you change it? Basically, what are the mechanics for running the fund?
Yeah, you bet. So you'll see that comes from Invest Like StakeBorg Index is, we call it an index, even if, you know, if you go to the traditional finance, people will argue it's not actually an index, it's actually a managed fund, and so on and so forth. But the fact is that crypto has some certain specifics that force us to, at least for now, to not have like traditional indexes. ELC was the first iteration of the StakeBorg DAO. So people were looking up to us and say like, what we should buy and what's one vehicle, because, you know, people don't want to go there and buy 10 cryptocurrencies, watch the prices every day. One goes up, one goes down. That's frustration, that's stress, that's anxiety, and so on and so forth. They want the simplest way to actually have exposure to the industry. And we thought about that. And we were like, what if we find a recipe? It's not a magical recipe because we didn't invent those tokens. It's just like, we try just to mix them in a way that gives exposure to the entire industry, which is easy and that you buy and forget about. It's a passive investment vehicle. There are like 10 currencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and after that, we have one from each big narrative. Some big narratives like DeFi have more, like we have Aven, we have Synthetics, we have Barnbridge, because any of these three are going in like sub niches of that big narrative. But other than this, we wanted to capture the entire ecosystem, so that when you are buying the index, you are basically buying the entire industry, if you accept this metaphor. So all in one, and I'm happy to say that we published the first report for ELC for January. I hope I will not say something stupid, but the index outperformed for sure Bitcoin. I think it was by 20%, but I might be wrong. But it outperformed Bitcoin by quite a bit, because I can visualize the difference in the graph. So we believe that these kind of passive indexes give people the simplest way to actually have exposure to crypto without being interested always in the prices, in volatility, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to an ETF with the classical investments. What were the?
Yeah. So I will just steal your question to say that StakeBorg as a company is currently working with industry leaders, and when I'm saying industry leaders, I'm speaking about actual leaders like Luca, the company that works with S&P 500 for the crypto indexes, PwC, MVIS, to actually build some traditional indexes as well. So we will have the crypto indexes, decentralized indexes that for the people who want to be just in crypto, but we will open in a big fashion in the next few months with products, with investment products built with well-known partners. We are speaking about products that will be listed on well-known European exchanges.
Mm.
And this is something we are saying for the first time. So there you have it.
We have some alpha here.
Yeah, you actually do.
So what have been the challenges so far with running the fund?
The challenges, I wouldn't say challenges. They are like natural steps into building something that matters. And whenever we find something that, let's say, it's not going well, we are saying like, look, it's so early. It's very good that we find it so early. And it's good that we are able to actually have a solution and solve it early in the game. So that will give us a head start when everything will mature. So the challenges are, well, first of all, let's say retail or people who are not using investments, they usually, it's crypto. Everyone wants 20x, 50x, 100x. An index will not give you that. An index by default is a conservative strategy. So if you want to use an index, just use it as the most conservative part of your portfolio. And if you want to go crazy afterwards, go ahead. But that will give you the most conservative exposure to the industry. So that's one challenge. The second one, and we were present, I think in December at Chamonix at a crypto conference that was packed with wealth managers, people that are managing family funds and so on. They were curious to know about crypto indexes, but they were facing regulation that was pretty hard. That was like, that made the things pretty hard for them to invest. Even right now, and that's again some alpha. Like 20 minutes before we started this podcast, I had a call with someone with a big amount of money that they want to get into crypto. They want to buy indexes, not only our indexes, but more indices. They're trying to find the best framework to actually do it without having headaches afterwards. And we are confident by speaking with the likes of PwC that they know everything that happens in the legislation in Switzerland, for example. We are confident that in the next 3 to 5 months, we will have permissive, if not really good legislation to actually have these people as confident investors in crypto. That's why I'm optimistic about what will happen next in crypto, no matter what happens right now in the market. That's another reason why I'm a permabull.
Maybe let's switch a bit the topic. I know you're also a big believer in DAOs. What would you say is still missing right now when it comes to DAOs that we haven't achieved yet greater adoption?
Well, first of all, there are more things that are missing than things that are present, because this is the nature of young things. It's the same for people, it's the same for DAOs. When we are young, we miss a lot of things. As we grow older, we have some things, but we lack time. It's the same with DAOs. Now we are billionaires in time with DAOs. We have everything in front of us. We look at DAOs as entities where digital creativity will come together, because digital creativity is very different from the normal creativity. And we can go into details, but the main idea is that how we interact via internet is very different from how we interact in our real life. So creativity is very different in real life and in the digital space. And DAOs are the place where people will come together because they share the same interest, they have the same passions, they are interested about the same investments, they come together because they have the same goals, they believe in the same things, and so on and so forth. So we strongly believe that DAOs are having a great future. In order for that to happen, first of all, we need tooling. So we need everything, because DAOs, it's like decentralized autonomous organizations, but many of the DAOs are not decentralized and they're not autonomous. They are just organizations. So in order for the DAOs to be autonomous, we need tooling. That's very important. We need to have everything in place, to have governance, to have voting, to encourage people to vote. We need to have a system where it's cheap to vote, and like tooling is very important. That's one thing that's missing. The second is we don't have courageous people. It's easy right now in the crypto space to build almost anything, but DAOs are hard. DAOs are new and they are hard. And because of that, not many people are bold enough to say like, look, I plan to become one of the next multi-billion-dollar DAOs, because we will have those. We have multi-billion-dollar DeFi protocols. We have multi-billion-dollar metaverse projects. We have multi-billion NFT collections. So we will have multi-billion DAOs, but you cannot point to one, and obviously I'm including ourselves into this, and say this has great chances to become one of those multi-billion dollars. So we miss tooling. We start to have bold people, courageous people that will build in this area. And I'm very confident that 2022 will be an amazing year for the DAOs. And I do believe that we also need a different mindset. People need to understand that they can come and work for a DAO full time. It's not a game. It's not even very risky. It's relaxing, it's not stressful, it's not 9 to 5. When people will understand that, watch out, because DAOs will take over.
That's great. You opened the door for my next question. You briefly mentioned NFTs. I know you're the owner of board Apes Yach Club 9721 and 2499. How do you see NFTs the way they are at the moment? And I'm talking here about NFTs in general.
Well, NFTs I think NFTs are the craziest invention crypto had until now, because it's easy to be understood, because, there are images, but they encapsulate so many new things. There is an amazing novelty around NFTs. When you see that well-known people with millions of followers, they are changing their profiles. I've seen like today, one of the players from NBA, Boban Marjanovic, was having like sneakers with doodles. When you see that, you realize that it's culture, and culture is damn powerful. because of that, I think NFTs are both powerful and they could be the door for more people to come into crypto. It's incredible how far we've come with NFTs when you think about the fact that there are only 1 million people that traded more than one NFT on OpenSea. 1 million, be. Imagine that. It's less than the population of Bucharest.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. So we all expected that DeFi is gonna bring like the mass adoption of blockchain, but actually it was NFTs. Now going back to your purchase, is there a specific story behind these purchases, or why this collection?
You're speaking about Bored Apes.
Yes, your two Bored Apes.
It was luck, and it's easy to buy something. It's harder to hold them because you're starting to calculate like, look, the price right now is this and the Ethereum price is that. And at a certain point in time, you have to consider that you are either like very confident in this industry or crazy. One of the two. There is no like middle ground between these two. With Bored Apes, and funny enough, Bored Apes were the first NFTs that I bought. I've seen that everyone who bought an ape received a dog, okay? The dogs were like 1 ETH straight out of the door. And I was like, I can understand why the 10,000 apes at a certain point that I have some, I think the floor back then was like 3 ETH. But if people receive this for free, why the heck is 1 Ethereum? As in, it doesn't make any sense. Something is there because there is a community behind it, because otherwise it makes no sense for something you receive for free. You are not willing to give it up for like 0.5 or 0.7 or whatever. And I was like, I need to understand more about that. I went to YouTube and I found the video from the Defined. Actually, it was like launched 2 days before I've seen it. I've watched it and I was like, So you have some interesting price action. There is some culture behind it. There are some initial, let's say, movements that sounded like they're there to stay. Probably there is something. And I bought 3 apes. The plan was to sell one of those apes whenever the floor will be high enough to actually recover my entire investment. I think I finished by selling the 3rd ape for less than I was planning, because it was not a very interesting ape. The other two, they have merch, they have the hats. So I like whenever I see the brand, because if there is something, the apes with the brand probably will worth more. I think that's the story. And after that, it was more like, it's so ridiculous what's happening. I'm not going to sell, because if I'm selling, it's like, this will go on a crazy ride. I will have a story of, I made some money, but I lost the story, being part of the story, because I opted to care more about the money. And that was not an option for me, because I care more about the story, the legacy, and so on than the money.
So you're a true believer. We're getting to the end of the interview. This is my favorite question, actually. So you're getting to interact with some of the brightest minds from the blockchain space. Tell me, please, about the person you appreciate from the blockchain space and the project you think has great potential.
You're putting me on the spot, because you forced me to name one. And it's difficult for me because I have many guests, and whenever I name one, yeah, it's difficult.
I can not be a guest as well.
Yeah, but I know my guests more than other people. I can say that from the interaction that I had after the podcast, I think Josib from Dragonfly Capital is the guy that is very close to my heart. As in, I really understand how he lived his life, the person that he became while he was playing poker, and afterwards, once he started to invest in crypto and so on and so forth, and his charity work and his personal development and his authenticity. I think I really like the guy. If we speak about crypto and I think Raul Paul is amazing. I mean, he has an amazing clarity. He's a legit good guy. I started to understand more about what happens behind doors with Real Vision after we filmed. And I can tell you that Real Vision will become the Bloomberg of crypto. And there is a legacy play there. And we will speak about Real Vision 10 years from now, similar to how we speak about Bloomberg when it comes to traditional investment. If you ask me about one project I really like, that's difficult. I think the layer one protocols that are coming after Ethereum will never catch Ethereum, but the playground will be big enough. So those projects will finish by being pretty big as well. I think Near protocol, they're doing something interesting there. I think Cardano finally will come with something interesting as well. What else is there? I really hope we will have some DeFi protocols that will be easy to be used by regular people. And I strongly believe we will have DAOs that will completely change the world and the lives of many people that will realize that they can earn doing what they love, no matter where they live.
Vlad, that has been great. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you very much and good luck in Denver.